In this video, I'm going to give some of my best tips for good physical health. So if you are trying to improve the health of your body, stay tuned to this video. All right, let's get right into this video where I'm going to give you some of the most basic healthy tips for your body. So we're going to cover these 4 tips today. Quality sleep, avoiding sitting down because that's really bad. That's one of the worst things you can do for your health. Eating whole foods and drinking quality water. So these are 4 things that I talk about a lot. And actually the second one, avoiding sitting, that is something that not many people talk about. And I'm going to go a little more into that because it's really crucial. It's almost as important as, eating right, getting good water, getting good sleep. So let's get right into all these tips. So the first one I'm going to cover here is how to get good sleep. So I do have another video that goes more in depth on just sleep. So I will leave a link to that. But for this video, we're just going to cover, this might be a little overwhelming, so I don't want to overwhelm you too much. I'm just going to cover the bare essentials. There's a lot. I think my other video and my blog post on sleep talks about 20 different things you can do to get good sleep. But, for the sake of this video, we're just trying to get to the very, very best tips. So these are the 12 that I have narrowed it down to. So writing in a journal before bed. Journaling is so crucial, and I can't stress this enough how important it is to do before you go to bed. Because getting good sleep is, as you'll see, there's so much that goes into it, but getting your brain relaxed and getting your mind in a calm state that's free of all your worries, that is so crucial to getting good sleep. And so writing in a journal before bed is one of my favorite things to do, and so I highly recommend doing that. Watching the sunrise and the sunset. This is helpful for your circadian rhythm. Not everybody can do this, of course, for whatever reason. Maybe you're at work or sleeping during those times. Maybe you live in a hilly area. Maybe you live in a forest where there's, you can't see the horizon. But if you can, do anything you can to be able to watch the sunrise and sunset. This will so much help your sleep. And there are some other tips too, but I will be getting into those a little bit later that have to do with the sun. Earthing or grounding, you might have heard of this. This is where you stand barefoot on the earth, and this helps you to absorb the negative ions from the earth. And since humans are magnetic creatures, we are part of nature, we need that connection to the earth. This is how our ancestors lived, and I have a short little story for you that I couldn't believe. I actually have a sleep disorder, or it's a circadian rhythm disorder, where my circadian rhythm is delayed, so I'm not able to, very easily anyway, go to bed early and get up early. However, the first experience that I had with earthing and grounding that really convinced me that this works was one time I was staying in a hotel that had a beach behind it, and I stood on that beach, walked in the sand, for hours, probably 4 or 5 hours. And then even after the sun went down, I sat in a chair with my feet on the grass. And before I knew it, I was getting tired, and it was only like 9 o'clock. And that has never happened to me in my life. I've never been tired that early. And I was so tired that I was ready to go to bed by 10. I forced myself to stay up though, and I shouldn't have, but I actually slept so good that night, and I never sleep good in hotels. The only thing different that I did that day was grounding, earthing. So I highly recommend, if you have access to a beach, that's the best way to do it, because I couldn't believe how tired I was and how good I slept. So that's a great thing to do if you are even traveling, if you have jet lag, if for any reason you can't get any sleep. Another thing you can do if you can't get around water is to just stand barefoot in the grass, and maybe if you can, pour some water into the grass so that the grass is wet, because the water will help to conduct the negative ions much easier and absorb them into your skin. So moving on to the next one on this list, we've got amber lights only, not blue lights. You might have heard of blue blocking apps. They are very good for your circadian rhythm, and I use amber light bulbs and blue blocking apps all the time after sunset. So I don't do anything that involves turning on regular lights. I always turn on light bulbs, or night lights. I like to use Himalayan salt lamps and candles and things like that. And there are amber colored light bulbs you can switch out your regular ones for. That's what I do too, in case I need like brighter light, then I use those. They're still good enough to see. The next one on this list is use a fan or white noise machine. This is something that is a guarantee for me to be able to get good sleep, because if my electricity goes out and I can't turn on my fan or my white noise machine, I will not get good sleep. So that's a tip for you if you struggle with, hearing noises. If you live in an apartment or if you live with other people, using that white noise to help block that sound will go a long way in helping you get sleep. It's also very relaxing and calming to have that constant background humming. You can also listen to apps. There are apps on your phone that provide white noise or whatever type of sound that works for you to get you to sleep. The next one on this list is to keep your bedroom cool, dark, and have no electronics. So having your temperature down maybe in the 60s is a lot better. Now this might not work as good for someone who is always cold, because I'm always cold, but I really can't afford to run my heat constantly. I would prefer to have it 80 degrees all the time, but instead I keep it at about 60 to 62. But I just bundle up. So that's one way that you can sleep good if your bedroom is cool, is to bundle up with lots of blankets. And they make fleece bed sheets. I just got some from my mom for Christmas, and they're like the best gift ever, because it's such a comfortable, warm, soft cocoon in my bed. I can't even tell when my heat is not going on. So then having your room dark is also very crucial. Our eyes are really sensitive to light, and this is something that a lot of people don't do because they don't really think about using those blocking, the sunlight blocking, what do they call them? There's a name for them. The darkening shades. They don't really think about that unless you work the overnight shift or you have to sleep in the day. But if you sleep normal hours, and let's say, the sun's coming up at 5 and it's shining right into your bedroom, that is a good time to get up, but that might not be the time that you want to get up. So don't interrupt your sleep and keep it dark, and don't have things like, even the display on your clock, on your alarm clock, is supposedly, I've heard that that's even going to affect you, although I have one of them and the light is red, and I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but that's never bothered me. And then to not have electronics around, especially if you're charging your phone, try not to charge your phone right next to your bed. I've seen videos of people that have tested the EMFs that come out of your phone while it is charging, and it skyrockets. And if you're one of those people that's sensitive to EMFs, then that's something you definitely don't want to do. I charge my phone across the room, and some nights I don't even charge it if it doesn't need it. And try not to have a TV in your bedroom as well. And a lot of people think that that's good. It does help some people sleep. Some people might need that, but I hear it everywhere all the time that, you should keep your bedroom specifically for sleeping and not for entertainment, not for things where you're going to be performing an activity in there, like watching TV and movies and video games. You can work with your own opinion on that. If you really want to watch TV and it works for you, it's the key if it works for you. If you find that you have insomnia and then you wake up and, you turn on your TV and then you just lay there all night watching TV, that's a good sign that you probably don't really need the TV. You're probably just addicted to it and you think you need it. So in that case, I would try the white noise machine and all these other tips on this screen here to get good sleep. The next one is to use lavender essential oil. That's one of the best things that you can smell to help relax you. You can go to bed and get up at the same times each day. So I mentioned earlier about the sun, and this kind of ties in with watching the sunrise and sunset. So if you can watch both of those, that helps a lot as far as setting your daily routine. So if you go to bed around 10 p.m., let's say, a couple hours after you've watched the sunset, then you're probably going to wake up around the same time every day the next day. Between 5 and 7 is a good time to wake up. And the more consistent you stay, the more your body will learn, and just you won't need an alarm clock if you do it long enough. Another thing you can do is take magnesium before bed. Magnesium is one of the minerals that most people are deficient in. And I don't know why, because magnesium is in a lot of things, and it's in all the daily supplements that you can take. I mean, all the, the regular multivitamins. I do take that, but I also take a regular magnesium by itself pill, right before bed. And magnesium, what it does is it calms the muscles, and it helps with muscle spasms, muscle cramps. If you're having muscle cramps at night, then you're probably low in magnesium. And magnesium also calms you down and helps your mind to relax. So that's something to look into, taking a higher dose of magnesium than you usually do. Exercise before sunset. So if you do a lot of strenuous exercise and activity after the sun goes down, that's probably going to impact your sleep. So try to get your exercise somewhere between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. But if you can't do it during those hours, any time before sunset is better. Better than not at all, and better than doing it after sunset. Have a regular calming bedtime routine. I am really big on bedtime routines, and I've got a video that is all about bedtime routines. They're very crucial for sleep, obviously. And so there's a lot of things that you can put into your bedtime routine. I've got a lot of information out there on my blog, and I might even have a video particularly about the things that you can choose from to create your bedtime routine out of. And I do have products also. I have printable routine planners in my Etsy shop, and I'll leave a link to that below, and you can plan your own bedtime routine. You can pick and choose what things work for you. And it's something that has changed my life, honestly. I have never gotten such good sleep before since I started having a bedtime routine. And, that bedtime routine includes all of the things in this list, and also all of the 20 things that I talk about in my other, all my other information where I talk about sleep. So there's a lot of things to do, but these things aren't time consuming. So like using a fan while you sleep, that's not time consuming. It's just another thing that you do. Taking a magnesium pill before bed, that takes 10 seconds. It's nothing that takes a lot of time, really. Unless you want it to, like meditation and journaling, those things can take as much time as you want. So if you're someone who thinks you don't have time for a bedtime routine, you can always condense it and keep everything to a minimum, and you could probably get it all done in 5 or 10 minutes if you really wanted to. And the last one on this list is to avoid alcohol, but small glasses of wine are okay. I hear that a lot, that wine is in moderation is okay. I myself used to drink alcohol to the extreme, and so I'm a little biased against it now. I stopped drinking, and that's a whole nother subject I could talk about, but try to not drink heavily before you go to bed, especially hard alcohol, things like vodka and tequila and things like that. You're going to crash really hard when you do, but then what happens is your liver is so stressed out trying to detoxify that you will most likely wake up, particularly during the hours between 1 and 3 a.m., and your sleep will be disturbed, and nobody wakes up feeling good the day after you drank. So Now we're going to move on to the next slide in this video, and we're going to talk about whole foods. So what are whole foods? Things like berries, vegetables, leafy greens, spices and herbs, and fruit. Basically, whole foods are something that you can see that is a food. Like, it's not some weird ingredient that's mixed into a concoction that's sold in a box. Basically, not processed. So something that grows out of the earth, anything you can pick out of a garden, anything in the produce section. So that's basically, you know, vegetables and fruit and herbs and spices. So this is something that everybody knows. Most people know to do this, but they do struggle with eating whole foods because you do have to cook or eat them raw, and a lot of times people don't have time to cook, and a lot of times people don't want to learn how to do new recipes, or they don't have the time, or for whatever reason. There's a multitude of reasons, but there are some ways that you can get whole foods into your diet without spending a lot of time cooking. Like I said, you can try the raw food diet. That only works for some body types though, so that might not work for you, but it's something that, you know, you can do it if you have to. And eating a lot of fruit is good too. People think that fruit is bad for diabetes. I mean, I don't have diabetes, so I can't speak personally on this, but the type of sugar that's in fruit is a natural sugar. And if you eat the fruit whole, not juice it, then you're also getting the fiber. And that is the way that nature intended for us to eat fruit. Nature did not intend for us to drink fruit juice. And that might go against what a lot of people think, because people think, you know, oh, I'm going on a fruit juice fast, and that's fine for a couple days, but I would never tell someone to juice your fruit every day of your life, because you need that, you know, sustenance, whatever the words I'm thinking of here, where it fills you up. I mean, not that fruit is filling, but some fruit has fiber in it, and you know, it's food. That's how your body was designed to eat food, not just the juice. So the next subject in this video is water, drinking quality water. So what you want is water stored in glass. You do not want water stored in plastic. This is something a lot of people have probably heard. You've probably heard of the bottles that have the chemicals in them. So try to store your water in glass. Buy your water in glass. Store it in a cool, dark storage place. Don't try to expose your water to light or heat. Those are the two worst things for water, because it'll break down, it'll get stagnant, and whatever it's being stored in will leach into it, especially if it's hot. So the worst thing you can possibly do when it comes to water is to drink water out of plastic bottles that's been sitting in a hot car. Absolutely not good. So the type of water that's best is spring water or purified water. So you can get a filter or a purifier, something like that. I've got a reverse osmosis machine, and they are sort of expensive, but I got mine at a not a discount store, but an outlet store where it was like returned, but it worked. So I got a really good deal on it. Those kinds of places, liquidators, that's what they are. If you can find a liquidator, those types of stores usually have cheap things like that. And, you know, otherwise you're going to be spending at least a couple $100 for something like that. But if you want to go the cheap route, there are some acceptable over-the-counter pitchers that you can buy. So I would definitely try to do something like that. And spring water is the best because spring water comes right out of the ground. So there's those options. And the worst would be unfiltered tap water. So the next thing on this list is to avoid sitting. And I mentioned this earlier, that sitting is one of the worst things you can do for your health. And a lot of people say that sitting is the new smoking. So how can you avoid sitting? If you work at a desk, you can get an adjustable work desk. When talking on the phone, walk around instead of standing in one place. Stand on the bus or train when you are commuting. Get up and stretch or take a walk every 30 minutes if you must sit. And exercise while watching TV. So I like to say every 30 minutes is a good time frame. You definitely don't want to be sitting for, 2 hours straight without even stretching or getting up. So this is all pretty self-explanatory as well. The more active you can be, the better. So if you're interested in learning more about the foundations of physical health, I have a podcast episode where I go into all of the things that I talked about in this video and more in detail. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope to see you in the next video.